Welcome to Divots Skins, Episode 3. My name's Jake, and I'm here with Brett. And we're going to talk about our latest U.S. Am Tour stop at McGregor in Saratoga Springs. What'd you think?
McGregor's a private course. We played it on a Monday, which made it a small field, but because of it being a private course, sometimes you're going to find the only time they'll let tours onto it, because members obviously want the best tee times, best days of the week. The only time they'll let us on is a Monday. That made for a small field because, as most people know, most people that work for others have to work Mondays. So we had a small field, but it was still a lot of fun that day for me.
Yes, for you. It was rough. It was rough. We're just gonna say that. I did not shoot a great front nine. I just could not stop coming up out of my stance and topping the ball. And I felt like the first 9 holes, it's all I could do to keep it safe. I was all over the place, didn't shoot well the first 9, kind of recovered a little bit, shot a little bit better on the back 9, but man, it was one of those days where you're like, am I actually a golfer, or is this just the worst I can possibly play? Now, in your case, you shot really well off the first tee box, which is something that you tend to struggle with, and then you got mad at me.
Yeah, Jake made mention because he was standing behind me on the tee box waiting to go out in the group after me, and he said, "What was that? You finally hit one off the tee well." I put it in perfect position, just missed the fairway by about a yard or two, but I never had issue hitting out of rough, and then I proceeded to collapse from there. I hit a really good second shot. I hit it about a yard less than what I wanted, so it didn't clear a bunker, the last fairway bunker. So I had an approach shot that was in the sand, did not hit it well. I clipped it low twice, kind of line drived it out of bounds. Unfortunately, because the course is pretty well wrapped around by houses all the way around it, I would say, the whole exterior of the course, for lack of a better term, is white staked, and as we've talked about on a previous podcast, white stakes, you have no choice but to re-hit from your original location, which for me put me back in the sand. I hit 2 straight out of the sand and out of bounds. So I finished that hole with a 10 after having a good drive, and if Jake hadn't said anything, I'm convinced that I would have had a par or better.
Oh, I am so glad I was not in that cart, because I'm pretty sure I would have been in the sand. I love the course. It's a fun course to play. I just wasn't having a good day. And as we know, as amateur golfers, that happens. You have those days where you go out and you're like, I'm pretty sure I know how to play this game, but right now, nothing is cooperating. And that's really how I felt about that front 9. Back 9, so I'll be honest, I shot a 61 front 9, not good at all. But I turned it around, shot a 52 back 9, felt much better about my shots, felt much better about my putting, just felt like I started to come around and really find my swing. But I really wish it didn't take me 9 holes to find that swing. But that's part of being an amateur golfer, is you're going to have those days where you're like, why am I doing this? Why is this fun? But I still enjoyed being out there. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah,
it was a little bit of wind. And that's always a fun factor, but the sun was out. It was really nice to be there. And it's interesting because McGregor didn't used to be a fully private course. It used to be semi-private.
It's brand new this year.
Yeah, and it's brand new this year that it went private. So it's really nice to be able to go there and actually play that course even though it's private. I don't really know that I had a hole that I was like, I really find it to be my favorite hole. I do like hole 1. I like the way you kind of start off. You start up kind of high, big open fairway. You got some strategic sand traps, so you really got to think about those second shots and getting on the green. But other than that, I'm not sure. I really can't imagine why I don't have a favorite front 9 hole. But I don't really have any favorite holes. Do you have any holes that you were like, hey, this is something I really enjoyed playing?
Yeah, I'm trying to count them up here. This is my 4th time playing the course. 2 years ago, I played it once. Last year, I played it twice. This year, obviously, so that was my 4th time. Never have shot it super well, but I have won it once. I won it once right at my handicap level. I shot an 83, if I'm not mistaken. So that was, I think for that course, it's a 12 over par. I think they're a par 71, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty close to my handicap level. Course difficulty is probably middle of the road for that course. I would say my favorite hole on the course, there's a par 3 that you're hitting over essentially a big dip in the approach, or a fairway, if you want to call it that. That's probably one of my favorite holes. It's a little bit blind because you can't see what the green looks like, the slope on the green. So you kind of got to guess where you're going to land it and how far it's going to run out and such, because you can't see the slope on the green whatsoever from the tee box. I ended up with a par on the hole, so I didn't do anything spectacular, but it is one of my favorite holes because it's a very, very challenging. I think on that particular day, it played right around 210 yards or something like that. So it makes it super challenging, but because I like hitting long irons, for me, I walk up with a lot more comfort than most guys do who are kind of at that level. At my handicap range, most guys are kind of between clubs. They're not sure, do they want to hit a hybrid wood type of thing, or do they want to hit a long iron? A lot of guys don't like hitting 3-4 iron, whatever. I hit a 4 iron that day and hit it pretty well. And again, I have nothing but good things to say about the course. Just on a side note, Jake, I want to mention that course is built on a massive area that was called the Saratoga Sand Plains. It's very close to the Saratoga Sand Plains anyway. I would call it like an adjunct type of thing. But anyway, as a result, that course sheds water like no course I've ever seen. Last year, we had monsoon-type spring rains. Up here, we had roughly 6 weeks of nothing but rain. It was 3 or 4 days a week. We were getting absolutely drenched and downpoured on it. A bunch of tour events got canceled as a result. Anyway, I went there right after 3 straight days of rain last year, and I couldn't find a standing water spot on the entire course. Not one.
Yeah, that's something. Even this year, we had a little bit of rain a couple days before we went to that event, and it was bone dry. So that's a really nice thing about that course. You don't have to worry about it being muddy or being sloppy or like you said, find any standing water. It just drains away. And I'm impressed that they can keep the fairways as good as they do and the greens as good as they do, considering they're sitting on sand.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful course, and I found the fairways super fun to hit off of because they were nice and tight and good grass. Greens were quick, but nothing too crazy. I mean, not like the last course we went to where we were like, holy cow, we can't keep anything from going 90 miles an hour. It wasn't like that, but they were quick. I find it a fun course to play despite my score. I like some of the challenges that are there, but it's not too tough. You're right about the white stakes. It is interesting because there is no forgiveness when you have those white stakes because of backyards. There's a hole that we shoot, and there's all backyards on the left side. You go into a backyard, you're out of bounds. So there's no forgiveness for that. So it makes it interesting when you have those kind of white stake situations. But course is in great shape right now. Like you said, the water just basically whisks away. You don't even see it or deal with it anywhere. There's no muddy spots. There's no like ruts or anything like that, because I think that sand really, really helps that situation. So you didn't win this Monday, but you have some interesting news to share.
I do. First, I'll start by I didn't win. Make no excuses about it. I didn't hit well regardless. I didn't shoot particularly well. I had a really great time. I always do on the golf course. Win, lose, or draw, I always enjoy competitive golf, again, for the reasons I've previously stated in previous podcasts. But my nemesis had a rough day also. A guy, James, on our tour. I will, at a later time, announce his full name probably, and he knows he's my nemesis, but in a very friendly way. He's the nicest guy in the world. Has meant a lot to my golf game because it's given me that competitive edge that I want to have. I have somebody to kind of shoot at. He's quite a few years older than me, but he's one of those guys that always hits down the middle. And just to show you that we're all amateurs, guys, I watched him on one hole put 3 straight balls out of bounds from the tee box. Again, these were all in backyards. One of them just barely went over the white stake, his very first one, barely over the white stake by about a yard. He ended up having, I think he shot an 11 on that hole. So he imploded just like I did on the first hole where I shot a 10. So we're all amateurs. Those days happen. You just got to live with the results and move on and try not to carry it mentally over into the next hole. I wish I could wipe away one thing. I've talked to the tour director about it since and let him know my feelings, which was the third competitor in my group that day, another competitor in my group that day was, I believe his name was Ryan. He was a 3.5, 4 handicap. I think he finished the day after that round, after calculating his handicap, he was a 3.2. Again, I'm a 14.2. They did something that they had never done before, and according to the tour director, he's never going to try it again. So they combined flights, and combining flights, can get a little tricky, but the flights are 4 points per handicap group. Is that fairly close? I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
4 points per handicap group. They combined 3 groups together that day. So we went from my flight, which is 14 handicap, down to the next flight, which goes, down to from 10 to 6 or thereabouts. And then the next group is like 6 to 2. So that third individual that ended up winning the tournament, he shot a 4 over par. Nothing I could ever dream of shooting on some of these more difficult golf courses. But I did enjoy. He was a great guy to play with, had a lot of fun. And I like watching really good golfers in front of me. You can learn a lot from them. It's a huge, part of the game is the learning curve. Some people, their learning curve is a much broader arc than others. I like to take things from other people's games if I think they'll work with mine. But the surprise news, I guess, and it's not surprising, I think, in the long and short of it, because Jake and I have talked about it in the past. My wife is a very straight hitter. She hits it down the middle. She's, I think, above average length for a female golfer, for a female amateur golfer, especially in the handicap group. She's in Jake's group, and she ended up winning. That's her trophy there in front of us. She had stiff competition at times during the tournament. I don't know what she ended up winning by 3 strokes, maybe, or somewhere thereabouts.
Something like that. But I can tell you that stiff competition did not come from me. Did not come from me.
But she said for the most part, she stayed safe all day. She's not the type that's going to flirt with white stakes very often because she's too dang consistent down the middle. I wish I had that luxury. I don't. But I wanted to bring that up, not to tip my hat to my wife because she's my wife or anything like that. But I wanted to show everybody, my wife golfs. She's the only woman on tour right now because we are an upstart tour. This region is an upstart tour. I wanted to mention the fact that females have every bit the ability to go out without a problem because they're golfing again against people with like ability. She has every bit the possibility of going out and winning as much as Jake does or anybody else. And I have told Jake in the past, I do think he's on the cusp of winning. I said if he goes out and golfs to his ability like I see him do when we golf privately, I've told him 100 times, I think he's got the ability to win, but keeping it together, I said, is a big part of the thing. And my wife, one of the things she does to keep it together is she doesn't lose a lot of golf balls. So she's not taking unnecessary drop strokes, whether it's a red flag into a pond, or red stake into a pond, or a white stake, into somebody's backyard. So it didn't surprise me that she won, and I'm happy for her. But I would like to see more women come out on tour. And I think any of the women who are listening to this, they ought to give serious consideration to it. My wife is just about to hit 50 years old, so it's not like she's a spring chicken just coming out of college golf or something like that. She's never had a formal instruction in her life. So it's available for all you women out there to play.
Yeah, I think that's something Don, our director, really wants to emphasize is that he would love to see more women join the Albany region tour. And I feel like the only way I'm going to win is you have to keep Erin home. I don't know how that's going to happen, but we'll figure that out. No, I kid. It was fun to watch Erin win. And one of the reasons it is because in a prior event, there was a 2-day event, she blew everyone out of the water day one. I mean, everyone. Everyone was shocked at her score. She played absolutely lights out. And then day 2, she had a little bit of trouble and just wasn't able to close it. So to see her come out and actually win this event on that Monday was really, really cool after knowing that she had the opportunity on that 2-day event last year to do it.
Yeah.
And just like so many amateurs, just wasn't able to close it. So it was really, really cool. And like you said, one of these trophies that we have in front of us is hers, and she's nice enough to lend it to us so we actually look like we know what we're doing. I don't know. It's going to be tough to beat her. She is definitely somebody to play against, and it's enjoyable to play against her because she is competition. And I hope that we'll see more women on the tour because of somebody like Erin, who's not afraid to step up and play against the guys in the same division. So it's really, really cool to see that she won.
Yeah, and I'm not in the business of blowing smoke up anybody's rear end. So I would like to pay special attention to the fact that any female out there or any male out there has the ability to come. I mean, you don't have to have formal lessons or formal training in the game of golf. I've never taken a lesson one day in my life. Like I said, I've picked most of what I've learned up from golf. I'm not a YouTube watcher as far as learning how to golf either. I will attempt things once in a blue moon that I see online, but as a result of just playing with so many different people over the course of the tour and other buddies and so on and so forth, you kind of learn and self-instruct, and I'm a big fan of learning the law of physics, what leads to a bad shot, what leads to a good shot, and solving the Rubik's Cube that is golf.
So another thing that was really interesting about playing McGregor, like we said, it was a smaller field because it was a Monday, and there weren't as many people there because obviously some people have full-time jobs and need to work. We have jobs, but we're lucky enough to work for ourselves. But Don does a great job of figuring out how to navigate what's going on the course. He doesn't play, which is really interesting. And so he was there. I had a shot that was kind of off the cart path in the woods, unplayable. I said to him, okay, what do I do here? So he was able to explain the rules to me and give me that guidance to know what to do. And I got to share this story because it's funny, and I'm sure a lot of people have run into this. I think it's hilarious that you're in an area that when you drop that ball, it is not going to stay there. So I was off the cart path enough that I think it was 2 club lengths away from the cart path, and knee height, drop the ball, rolls away, rolls down the cart path. Walk over, get it, do it again. Then you're allowed to place it. I think that's a hilarious rule because you're looking at this hill and you're like, when you drop it, it ain't staying there. But the cool part, and the reason I bring this up, is that Don was there to ask that question. I'm an amateur. I don't know all the rules. I don't know all the particulars of all the rules, and that's obviously why we do Rule of the Day. But Don was there, and Don was able to have a conversation with me and say, okay, this is what the rule is, and this is what you need to do. And he was very patient, and he was very understanding. And I think it's really cool that we have a director that doesn't just play, but he also really cares about the whole tour aspect and the whole game in itself. And he wants to make sure pace of play that we always talk about. Mm-hmm. He's a very big stickler on that. He makes sure that when we have bigger fields, he's out there riding around, making sure people are keeping up with the group in front of them. But in this case, he was able to bounce back and forth between groups and other groups and say, okay, how's everybody doing? And the other thing that was funny is he was pointing out balls so we knew where they were and things like that, which we always talk about. Man, it'd be so nice to have somebody who was a spotter. So he was doing some of that for us. But the more important thing is that Don cares enough about the game and being the USAM Tour director for the Albany region that he takes the time to explain the rule if you're not sure what it is. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, he serves as like a part-time rules director. Rules official. So because he's out on the course, he's not hard to get a hold of. You either flag him down or at times you can reach him on a cell phone if you need to. The general rule of thumb on tour, I don't know if you've run into this yet in your groupings, but occasionally you'll have to play 2 balls if you're unsure of a ruling. Hold
on. We're going to talk about this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
It's the rule of the day. So let's talk about the rule of the day.
Well, that's kind of a little different, but we'll talk about the rule of the day. Right. But the 2-ball rule is essentially this. It's a tour rule, essentially. If you're unsure of a ruling, how a ball should be played, if you get a free lift, if you don't get a free lift, play 2 balls, one with as though it were a free lift and one from as where it sits.
Right.
Play both those balls all the way to completion through the hole until you hole them out. and then ask the director at the end of the day or the next time you see him, how should that have been played? And then your scorecard can be adjusted as per what he says. This has actually happened to me on occasion, 2 different occasions in my life. And I'm glad for it because it taught me something about the game, some quirky rules that we'll talk to at a later time. But a little bit different than the whole rule of the day, but we do have to get into that, I guess.
Yes. All right. So my mistake. He was talking about a different thing. Then now is the rule of the day. What is the rule of the day you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the provisional ball rule. A lot of people don't really understand it fully. The cut and dry way to explain it is this. If you put a provisional ball out there, so you've hit your first ball, you're not entirely certain is that ball out of play or not. If it's white staked, obviously, and it went out of play, then you have to play the provisional ball regardless. Because white stakes, you have to hit from where your previous hitting location was from. If it's not white staked, say it's red staked or something like that, and you looked around and you couldn't find that ball, so you decide to go ahead and play the provisional ball. So now you're hitting your your third shot came from the tee box as your provisional. So now you're hitting your 4th shot as your approach. And again, we have no max on tour, so this comes into play quite often. You play that shot, and then out of the corner of your eye, you see your original ball. Whether it's inbounds, out of bounds, or on top of a house, it doesn't matter. The ruling is once you've put that provisional ball into play and hit it a second time, it is no longer provisional after you've hit it a second time. It is now your live action ball. That is the one you have to play. That's the one you have to finish the hole with if you're lucky enough to get all the way to the hole without hitting it out of bounds again.
So that's interesting what you're saying is you hit your provisional and then you find your original ball, you can play your original ball. But if you hit your provisional and you think you can't find your original and you hit that provisional a second time, then that becomes your live ball.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's happened quite a bit. I've seen it hurt guys. I've seen it help guys. I had a situation myself at Nationals where it came back to bite me in the butt because I thought a ball was out of bounds. It wasn't. We'll talk about the little tiny discrepancies or the sub rules, I guess, within a rule at a later time, because that one gets quite complicated. But the general rule of thumb, again, is once you put a second shot on that provisional ball, that is now your live action ball. That's the one you have to play through the hole with.
And again, these are rules that we use when we're playing on the USAM Tour. These are not, we tend to try to stick to those rules when we're playing for fun and stuff like that. But if you're just playing with your friends and you're having a good time, that provisional is actually a breakfast ball. So it has to do with like the AM Tour, and these are rules that we use for that. These aren't the rules that we use when we're out having a good time and we're having fun. But you and I try to stick to those rules when we're playing courses because we want to get better and we want to get better for our USAM Tour. So again, you don't have to use these rules all the time, but it's important to know what they are. So if you do join a tour or you are in an event where the rules make a difference, it's important to know what these rules are.
I want to make a quick mention, Jake, of the fact that when I first started on tour, I was really apprehensive about joining over one simple fact. And I think there's a lot of people out there, male, female, old, young, it doesn't matter, experienced golfers or non, because most experienced golfers are still just buddy golfers, as I like to call them, just people that you go out and casual golf with. Most of them still don't know the rules of the game. The USGA rules is what applies, is applicable to our tour. But I wanted to make mention of something, and that is I got so comfortable so quick, not with the rules, because your head can spin looking at the USGA rule book. You can get an app. I have it on my phone that helps, but even finding the rule interpretation in the rule book at times can be difficult, even with the search bar. But I want to make mention of the fact that the people on tour have been phenomenal. My nemesis, as I jokingly called Jamie, he's been awesome. I can't tell you how many times he has walked me through a rule, why it's interpreted the way it is, and so on and so forth. And he seems to know every rule inside and out. And it's just awesome to have those type of people on tour. And it seems like in every flight you have a handful of those people. they've either done enough tour golf where they know all those rules, or they've played enough, over the years where they've read up on it and stuff like that. So you don't have to be tentative like I was. You don't have to be apprehensive about joining a tour. Join the US Am Tour, and I guarantee you are going to find plenty of people out there that are going to be super friendly and not even remotely apprehensive about giving you the rules as it lies, and they're not doing it to try to harm you. At times it's going to help you, frankly, and I just thought that was great. And if I could stress that to people, I think it would help take some of the tension out of people who are maybe sitting on the fence about joining a tour like ours.
Well, and so I'll share a story. It happened at McGregor last year. We had a situation where the guy I was paired up with needed to leave early, and so we actually got paired with the champ flight. Now, I am in a 20-plus handicap flight. I was like, ooh, this is going to be horrible because these guys are going to get grumpy. They're going to get upset about playing with us. They were amazing. They were amazing as far as being patient with us, listening to our questions, answering our questions, because they're more experienced. And so, yeah, it's exactly that example. And so I will say that even though they were champ flight, which is the top flight, and same thing as the guy you were playing with at McGregor this year, it was amazing to watch them hit. It was amazing to watch them putt. It was really cool. But what I thought was really interesting is that they didn't put their nose in the air and feel like that they were above us. They were guys that were willing to have conversations and say, hey, okay, do you know what to do with this ruler? Do you know how to handle this? And so I agree, like the tour is a great way to learn the rules. And it's a great way to learn from other golfers. I won't say better golfers, but other golfers. Because there's guys that are in my flight that have taught me all kinds of stuff. And again, Don is there to answer any question, and he loves to do that.
Don's the most approachable tour director I've ever been around. He makes it like a big family there, which is awesome. He makes everybody feel welcome. We've golfed with Don privately because he is so much fun to golf with, and because he's so relaxed in how he approaches golf. And he doesn't give you a hard time if you're having a bad day, or doesn't make you feel bad about having a bad day. We've all had them, like I said, but Don makes you feel very welcome all the time when you're around him, not just in answering the questions, but he truly feels, and speaks from the heart about, what's going on in your life and so on and so forth. If something bad or whatever, he'll say, I understand, and just get through it, and so on and so forth. I've gone through a rough time myself, and Don's been nothing but helpful with all of that. So he couldn't be a better tour director.
So I want to take a break real quick to thank the Luxury Box for allowing us to record in one of their bays here at their indoor facility. The Luxury Box is a great facility if you're looking for indoor hitting, and if you're looking for it in the winter, the summer, anytime. And so I want to do a special shout out to Dave and say thank you for always letting us record here. It's great to have this backdrop, which is actually one of his bays, and be able to do the podcast in this environment and have a great setup. The Luxury Box is in Queensbury, New York. If you're looking for an indoor facility when it's raining out, this is the place to check out. So thanks, Dave. So we had a good day.
Very good day.
Really good day. So today, I'm really happy that we got a chance to play one of my clients' charity events, the Conklin Center's golf tournament. And we got to play it at Hiland Park here in Queensbury, New York. It was a 4-person scramble event. And like I said, it was a charity event to help them raise money for their organization. I've worked with them since 2014, 2015, and I have a great relationship with the executive director, Joan, and we've worked together. And I was one of the people that suggested we should try to do a golf tournament, and today was the 4th annual golf tournament. How did we do?
Came in second, lost by a stroke from first place, but we've never come close, never got a sniff of winning anything on that tournament.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun today. The weather was a little chilly, a little windy, but I'll be honest with you, we've had some 90s in the last couple of days. I'm kind of glad it wasn't in the 90s today because it would have been a little brutal to be out there. But man, it was so much fun to be out there because we were not hitting great.
No, hitting timely, not great. It seemed like I told Jake I call it earlier the pick me up round of golf. So if three people hit poorly, the fourth person would stick it close. And I've always said scrambles are won about in the short game 150 yards in. So approaches and putting. And today the putter, yours in particular, was lightning hot.
Yeah. I think I had at least 2 birdie putts. I was super happy about those, and they were between 15 and 20 feet away. And it felt good to really sink those because I'll be honest with you, not a lot else was really going great for me. But Dave, who owns Luxury Box, was our fourth, with your wife being another one on our team. And she's kind of a given because we want that kind of cheat code of having a woman on our team because she gets to hit from the tee box that are a little further ahead. But more importantly, Erin hits it straight and really, really well. So we want that on our team. But Dave, I have to say, Dave was cracking me up because he's like, well, I'm going to go first because I'm not the greatest putter. And so he would show me the line and then I'd be able to sink it. But the best part is we were like, all right, Dave, it's your turn. You need to sink a putt now. And what did he sink 2 or 3 after that?
He sank the one that counted the most.
Yeah.
If I remember right, that was the birdie putt that he made on 14 that won the skins for us.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. Not only did we take second place, and we got a chance to pick from a few different courses as a foursome, so we picked Hiland because we love Hiland. So we ended up picking that as the course that we're going to go play again. But yeah, he ended up winning a bunch of money for us because he sunk that putt on 14.
Yeah, it was a good day. And again, it wasn't a day where any of us hit particularly well. I think my wife probably hit the most consistent off the driver. Jake was the most consistent putter. Dave and I muddled in some, chips and irons here and there. I had probably, a very subpar day for me as far as golf tournaments go, but I didn't care. I was having a great time either way, and it's a charity event. So I didn't. We've never finished before, in the top 3 before. I didn't expect to finish in the top 3 this time.
Yes, we have.
We have.
Remember, we finished first at Farrer Park.
No, I meant at this tournament.
Oh, yes. At this tournament, we haven't, but we actually did finish first at a tournament a couple years ago in Farrer Park in Troy.
With the same score, 11
score,
under
which
par.
It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, it's and I have a heart for this tournament, obviously, because it is a client of mine, and I have that special relationship with them. And I love golf, and I love the fact that they do this event as a golf event to help them raise money. But, man, we could not have had a better day. The turnout for golfers was amazing. The food was amazing. They did a golf ball drop with a helicopter, which is always fun. And that was kind of cool. They had a $5,000 putt off that came down to, I think she said 3 to 5 guys were left for that. And one guy had actually made a putt, but it wasn't enough to win the full cash.
Oh, didn't hear that.
So good day. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think one of the things that we really enjoy competing on the USAM Tour, but we also really enjoy doing scrambles.
Love it.
Yeah.
You could be a little more relaxed.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more laid back. It's a situation where you're like, okay, I had a bad shot, but I've got 3 other guys or 3 other people that are going to shoot, and hopefully they end up doing something better. And it just becomes a fun day of golf, and it becomes a fun day of golf for something that's important. And so, again, it was the Conklin Center in Queensbury, New York. It was their golf tournament, and I'm super happy how it went. Of course, I'm super happy we came in second. Now, I will say, I'm a little disappointed we came in second because the group that I invited 2 weeks ago came in first. And I went over to that gentleman, Ryan, and I said, hey, I invited you to this. How dare you beat us? And you're not invited next year. So it was a great time, and it was really cool that it was 12 under, 11 under, and 10 under. So that it was just awesome.
And I enjoy it every year. They have a hole that is you shoot through a potato cannon, essentially.
Yes.
Compressed air cannon. It launches the ball 450 to 500 yards in that range, I think, is what he had the PSI set at this year. And it's a 550 yard or so par 5. It's the last hole on the course, hole 18. So pretty much everybody got an eagle on that hole. So it was a lot of fun. I love doing that every year because you get to feel like a SWAT team member or something like that with the potato cannon in your hand, shooting a golf ball out of it.
Well, and I will say, I was super proud this year. I put it in the middle of the fairway.
You did.
Right in front of the green. Now, I wish I could have that gun every hole because that would make my golf game so much better. So, yeah, it was a great day, and I'm glad we could raise the money for the Conklin Center. And we have some other scrambles we're talking about doing and we have coming up, and we're looking forward to them. They're always a good time. It's just a great way to get out with friends and have a great time playing. So why don't you explain to everybody just real quick, what is the difference between a scramble and best ball?
So I personally think they named them wrong many, many moons ago when they first started golf tournaments. A four-man scramble is you're essentially four-man hit off the tee box. You pick the best ball of those four to hit from, and you hit from that one. Kind of confusing to me that they chose to make that one called a four-man scramble. A four-man best ball, everybody plays their own ball from beginning to end on each hole, and you take the best score of those four players. So that's your big difference.
Yeah, and I think that is where some people get confused as to what the difference between a scramble and a best ball is. So I think we're good for this week. Congratulations, Erin, on winning McGregor. And we'll be talking about the next event, which was at Normanside, on the next episode. And we have some really cool news. But I'm not going to spoil that for you. You're going to have to tune in for that. Remember, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn the bell notification on so that you can make sure that you know when the next episode comes out. And remember,
never leave a birdie putt short, Dave.